Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are live. It is 9:06. Hopefully, this is giving you guys enough time to get online. We are streaming on YouTube only. This is going to be our main platform from now on for all of our masterclass teachings, community gatherings. It's going to be amazing. So, first of all, hello, everyone. If you're watching live and you're on YouTube, I would love for you to say hello in the live chat. Again, tonight we're only on YouTube. So I'm not tuning in from Instagram or Facebook. We are strictly on YouTube. So I'm really excited about what we're going to do with this YouTube channel and the fact that from now on, you'll be able to watch all the replays. So let's first do our community check-in. So I see, hi, Miss Congeniality. Hey, Tiffany J. Hey, Shamira. Hello, guys. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm so glad to see you guys in the house. We got South Georgia in the house. We have ministry. Okay, awesome. We have another business owner, Shamira, here from New York, from New York, spiritual lifestyle coach. I help women develop God confidence. Awesome. So hello, this is your first time being a part of the Genesis Dorsey community. My name is Genesis Dorsey. Hey, Andrea, how are you? Good to see you guys. Good. So, oh my God, I'm so excited to see you guys in the house. Hey, Awakened by the King. Good to see you guys. So again, my name is Genesis Dorsey, and I specialize in working with faith-based leaders, helping them to package their God-given genius in either business and or ministry. And I'm also show you guys how not only to package that genius, but how to build that God-given platform that you're supposed to stand on. And I teach you on different strategies to get the message out that you're called to get out there. I also teach you how to become, more confident in your voice. And I've been doing it for years. I've done it for my own businesses. I've done it for my own ministries. And now I have the awesome pleasure to spend time with women and men, but mostly women around the world teaching them. And so we are focusing on this month, a particular topic, and it's called When I Move, You Move, right? And I know Ludacris says just like that, right? But the point is that we are focusing on creating your movement. So here's what I would love for you guys to do. We see some more people in the room. We got Autumn. Awesome. She runs a monthly style membership based in Chicago, Illinois. Shout out to Chicago. We have Dominique tuning in from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. So again, so excited to see you guys in the room. Listen, over this weekend, matter of fact, actually tonight, before I go to sleep, I am going to be getting ready to send an email to you guys for Saturday morning, and it's going to include these goodies. Yeah. So these are 2 worksheets. And, when you're watching a class live, I want you guys to take tons of notes, right? But outside of that, I want you guys to start to have a binder for all of the stuff you're going to learn from your favorite coaches and experts. And I created these worksheets here. And this one in particular is going to be based upon our class today. So, you're going to get a ton of stuff today from learning. We're only going to be here for max an hour. I already have my outline ready. But then I have some questions. I have some fill in the blank questions. I have some reflection questions from this lesson. And I'll be sending it out to everyone on the email list. So if you're not a part of our community, we're over 3,000 strong. You can hit that link up top, which is genesisdorsey.com. Join the email community, and you'll get the free God-given Genius bundle, as well as access to all materials and information and strategies that we send out to the email. So you guys will be getting a line note sheet as well as the fill in the blank worksheet that you can start to add to a binder of choice. As I continue, I want to highlight a book from the bookstore that I think, before we get started, that I think is going to be an awesome addition. And so I'm going to, I pick a book out of my books that I've written pile. And, this weekend, I said, I think this is a great book to highlight from the bookstore. So if you head to genesisdorsey.com, you're going to see a ton of books. And this is, y'all know, this is actually my absolute favorite book, right? But I have to bring this one back up because I've been teaching on faith lately. And I've been talking to women in my inbox who've been talking to me about how they're going through storms and trials that they didn't ask for. And this book is the perfect book for that. And it's called Faith in Glass Slippers. It's a super easy read. You can read this in one night, but I promise you it's going to be one of those books that you reread. I have read this book, I cannot tell you how many times, because it has so many great reminders, and it's one of those books where you can reread it and it doesn't feel like, you read it so many times, because it always has something that applies to a certain season in your life. And so this book, Faith in Glass Slippers, is for women, written for women who are facing a storm in life that they did not ask for. And it's based upon the story of Cinderella retold for grown women going through grown problems. And so you can get this in genesisdorsey.com. You can click right over to the website and go under books, physical products, and you'll be able to get Faith in Glass Slippers as a digital download you can read. We are going to have the physical copies coming back to the store this weekend. So if you want to wait till tomorrow, you can wait till tomorrow, and you will be able to order from now on the physical copies of all of our books. Okay. So are you guys ready for tonight? I hope so. So if you are ready, listen, grab your notebooks, okay? Grab your notebooks, grab a pen, grab something, because I'm about to break down everything for us when it comes to week 1, okay? And so tonight we're talking about defining your movement. Again, tonight's topic is called defining your movement, okay? And so we're going to be breaking this down. So let's see who's ready. So yeah, you want the physical copy? That's coming this weekend. Okay, you guys are ready. You guys are ready. Awesome. So we're going to, if you're writing notes, I'll be breaking everything down into note form for you so that you guys can easily take notes. So if you're writing the topic of tonight, again, it's called define, or you could say defining your movement. Either one works, either define or defining your movement. Okay, so just write that at the top. And then we're going to break down into our sections. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is, what is the definition of a movement? Again, the first topic that you're going to write is, what is the definition, or just definition of a movement? And how many of you guys have been checking the emails this week? We define the movement in email, the email 1 that went out on Monday, right? And so let's go back over that definition. That definition is a group of people working together to advance their shared ideas. Okay, let's go back through that again. The definition is a group of people working together to advance their shared ideas. I'm going to say it one more time because this is important. A group of people working together to advance their shared ideas. So there are different examples of movements all over. We have different ones from social movements. Most of us are very familiar with social movements, right? So that could be everything from the civil rights movement to women's suffrage, to mothers against drunk driving, environmental movements, movements behind, at first it was paper and now it's plastic, right? There's different movements. So a lot of us are familiar with social movements. Those are the most popular movements that we're usually used to. Those are the ones that we see take over. But then there's different movements, right? There's movements such as social movements that may be connected to business, right? There could be a movement maybe that you've seen in your in the political arena, right? There's movements of all kinds. So you have social movements, you have political movements, you have business movements, right? You have different types of movements. And I'm sure maybe you've been a part of one in your lifetime of some kind. And so again, the definition is a group of people working together to advance their shared ideas. So people are coming together because they all are believing in a common goal or a common idea, right? And they're working together to advance whatever comes with getting that idea or that goal pushed forward. Does that make sense? And so that is the definition. Okay. Now let's talk about the psychological importance. So if you want to write the next section of your notes, it's, what is the psychological importance of a movement, right? Because we have to understand the psyche of how people think, right? You have to understand how people think and what gets them to get behind something. A lot of times people are trying to launch movements, but they don't understand, well, how do people think? How do people operate? What is the culture of where I am at, right? And Western culture has presented a lot of things that we can use as notes. But honestly, this is really worldwide. This is just kind of innately on how we've been created, right? Even from a faith-based perspective, this is just how God created us. And God created us to be in relationship. That's just how we are, right? And so one of the things you really want to write down, you can write this in all caps, is that everyone desires to belong. Okay. Matter of fact, everyone, if you're watching this in the comments, type that, because this is really important. Type everyone desires to belong, because this is probably the most important thing that I can ever teach on the night, right? Just that one line. Everyone desires to belong. Okay. I'm going to type that in the comments too. Everyone desires to belong. And when you remember this, this is going to really be the key of you really getting people to follow what you're trying to put out. Right? Okay, there you go. Everyone, there you go. Everyone desires to belong. Yeah, there we go. Everyone desires, hey, call to success. Everyone desires to belong. And this is important because when you really get a hold to that, you really begin to understand that if you really want people to get a hold of what you're doing, you have to create a sense of belonging, right? This is important. Social media is not a belonging, right? People can comment, people can chat, right? But that does not innately establish community. Right? People think, oh, I have a social media platform. That's my community. That's not your community. That is a social media marketing channel, right? But that's not community, right? And so people think that, oh, because I can, I'm posting, I'm encouraging, I have a community. That's not your community, right? Because you have to ask the next question, which is, where can they belong? How do they attach themselves to what you're doing? Right? So let's go deeper. I want to give us a few examples of brands that have created a sense of belonging. They've created more than products, they've created movements. How many of you know of Peloton? Right? Let me know in the comments if you ever heard of Peloton. Even if you don't have a Peloton bike, have you ever heard of Peloton? Right? I'm sure many of us can say yes, because they've taken the world by storm when it comes to fitness. Okay. When it comes to, especially talk about cycling and really the whole idea of at-home fitness, Peloton has really master the art of community, right? And it's so interesting because they aren't the first to have to have a brand that was focused on at-home fitness, right? I mean, there have been bikes before them that do maybe not the fullness of what they do, but at-home stationary bikes that you can work out on, right? The difference was that they understood one word. What was the thing? What is the thing that Peloton has mastered? What's that C word that we're really focusing on tonight, right? And of course, we're focused on movement, but we just picked out a C word. What's that C word that they've just mastered, right? What's that C word? Yeah, it's community. Right? They have mastered the idea of people not just, okay, let me be, at home on a bike, but let me be a part of something, right? Because even though it's personal at home fitness, right? What drives people to not just get on the bike is this sense of community, tribe, right? And this is big, right? This is huge. I don't think people have realized this. And that's what really has caused Peloton to take off. If they did not have the community that they built up, a sense of belonging, I don't believe that people would be buying the bikes like that. I don't even think that people buy those bikes because it's just a bike. They're buying it because they get access to community. Okay. Let's look at Tom's. Tom's is a perfect example of a shoe company that created a social movement, right? A business, but they really revolutionized the concept of social entrepreneurship. They weren't the first, though. They were not the first to create a social entrepreneurship based business. Now, a social entrepreneurship business model is based upon basically where there's a give back tie to it, right? So buy a shoe, give a shoe, right? But it's when that's actually like the core of their model is where it's based upon this whole idea of giving back, right? So they weren't the first, but they definitely were the first to really make it a mainstream thing, right? And so that's an example of a movement where this movement is now based upon how people are getting behind a cause, right? They're supporting the cause, and they are now connecting on a personal nature to where they feel like, wow, it's a feel good purchase, right? We saw a movement happen with anyone familiar with Lululemon? Anybody familiar with Lululemon? Wow. So Lululemon is a brand that really, I mean, there's so many different stories and things concerning Lululemon, but Lululemon, they did do one thing, and that is they learned how to get into the lives of women and leggings, okay, and fitness, okay. And so Lululemon is another brand where they have really dominate the idea of apparel and athletics, so much so that they were able to really take one cause and just, I mean, just take it to the next level, right? And so now we see Lululemon, we see Athletica brand, like they are really transforming how athletic apparel is seen and done, right? And so this is all an example of how you can have a business that is more than just about fitness, more than just about a brand. It's actually about storytelling. It's about people. It's about their everyday stories, right? Here's another example. Music artists, okay? What is the name of Beyonce's community? I think we all know this, right? But they're called the Beehive. Okay, they're called the Beehive. Okay, what's the name of Nicki Minaj's community? The Barbs, right? And so, you know, it's so funny because when you hear even Lady Gaga, she has a name for her people and her fans. Music artists are another great example of how you can create community where people are bonding together behind the artist, but also behind how the artist has impacted their lives, the way that the music has become a part of their lives, and there being an innate community within that, right? So we're seeing community and we're seeing movement, okay, because community is at the heart of movement, okay? You got to have people gathered first, and then that creates the energy for people to move with them. Does that make sense, guys? So again, these are examples of it, but the psychological importance, the psyche that people have is this: everyone wants to belong. Got it? So they want to belong to something. So when we talk about defining your movement, one of the questions is, how do I create a sense of belonging in my business? Right? How do I create a sense of belonging in my business? Sometimes the belonging may not be in large groups. Sometimes belonging means where someone just feels at home with your brand, right? You know, when you think about clothing boutiques, like some of your favorite brands, and maybe they're more high end or whatever, but I have stores that I love, and they don't necessarily have community as far as like where I'm gathering with other women. But when I walk into these boutiques, I feel at home. The way that they treat me, I feel like this store gets me. This store understands my body. This store understands my style, right? The way that the stylists reach out to me and work with me to get me certain pieces. There's a sense of belonging, right? There's a sense of where their style matches what I'm looking for, and I'm loving what they provide. So community and sense of belonging, it's important because community does not always mean gatherings, right? Community means to belong. Does that make sense? That's really, really important. And so you could have literally a piling of different people, different personalities, different auras, but they're connecting with what you want to bring to the table. As we define with movement, a group of people working together to advance their shared ideas. Now, this is important because the second thing that's important, when we talk about the psychological importance of a movement, we talked about how everyone desires to belong. But the second thing underneath that, right? So we talked about everyone wants to belong. We gave brand examples. But then the second thing is that people want to feel a level of impact, right? And this has to be communicated through your brand. People want to feel either where you're impacting their life directly, or you're impacting someone else's life through their purchase. So that's where we have the social entrepreneurship model, or we have the personal impact, right? So for instance, when I walk into some of my favorite stores, even though they do have, you know, nonprofit arms and things like that, when I buy a bag, 10% of that does not go to someone else. But for me, when I buy that bag, there's a sense of impact because of what it does for me, whether it's vain, whether it is, maybe something really deep that does impact someone else, or whether it has another story extension. Perfect example. Let's talk about this. When people are buying certain brands, we could say, well, that's vanity, right? So people say, well, you bought that car because you wanted people to think you're rich, or you bought that bag because you want people to look at you a certain way, right? But we have to think about it, because that is a part of their selling model, exclusivity, right? When you think about certain luxury brands, and first of all, not everyone's built to be a luxury brand, and not everyone should be a luxury brand, because that may not be your purpose or your focus, right? But I want to use this as an example, because I hear people say this all the time, and I'm thinking they don't think like business owners. They'll say, oh, she got that Louis bag, probably got it because she just wants people to think she's something rich, or whatever it may be, right? But here's the thing. If Louis Vuitton did not have that particular edge or particular benefit to what they do, people wouldn't be buying them like that, because there's a certain sale point to that. Does that make sense? Right? So you have to realize that when someone buys that bag, the impact is a personal impact, right? They may like it for the style, they may like it for how it looks, but some people do buy it for the fact that it costs a lot of money, and they like the fact that it's something that everyone can't buy. Now, that is very vain, but guess what? It's human nature. It's a part of the selling proposition, right? And so there is an impact. Their impact could be that they love the fabric, they love how it's made. Does that make sense? So it's really important, because when we talk about impact, a lot of people think impact is always something like, deep, how you got to touch the hearts and the souls, the minds of people. Listen, it's not always that deep. Sometimes it's about the different aspects of humanity, right? When I buy makeup, I'm not buying it because, it's going to transform my life, right? No. When I buy makeup, you know what I'm thinking about? Self-esteem. I'm thinking about how it can cover certain areas. I'm thinking about maybe a look I'm going for. I'm thinking about maybe how I'm trying to perfect something, right? Maybe I'm thinking about how to enhance certain features of my face. I'm not thinking about how my life is going to be transformed. Right. However, that may be a part of our mission, right, to transform the lives of women. But when someone buys that makeup, they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about themselves. So you have to learn how to sell to a deep mission, but also a surface one as well, because we are surface people as well, right? So this is important, because when we talk about impact is, how do I connect what we sell to what people really want? How do I connect this thing about it from a ministry sense? How do I connect what we provide for people to what their end goals are in life, to where they're trying to go, right? Are we being very clear with that impact, right? I'll give a perfect example. If you're a coach, right, and let's say you have coaching sessions, right? You should be talking about what your coaching sessions do for people. You know what I mostly see? People will just say, hey, book a coaching session a day. We'll help you do X, Y, and Z. And you know what? You sound like the 10 other people who are also coaches who said the same thing. But where are you talking about impact? What will your coaching session do for me? Why do I need your coaching session among the 10 other people who are also selling coaching sessions? Why should it matter to me, right? So people are buying because not only do they want a sense of belonging, but they also want a sense of, it's going to do something for me, right? Because people care about themselves. People, it's a human thing. It's not selfish in a sense, but people want to know, okay, if I get this, how is it going to change my life? Right. And so if you're not communicating that, people can't get it behind a movement because there's no personal connection for them. Right. So while you can have the beautiful stories and the great graphics and the cute posts and quotes, at the end of the day, why should they care? I know that's harsh, but it's true. Why should they give a hoot about what you do? Why? Because you have pretty quotes and pictures and pillows, and let's say you sell pillows, or you sell makeup, or you sell hair, or you sell t-shirts, or you sell coaching programs, or you sell books, or you sell insurance policies, or I can name a whole bunch of stuff that people can sell, right? courses, classes, workshops. Why should they care? And this is a question we really have to know, because you can't get a movement if people don't care about what you're doing. So how do we get them to care? Great question. Okay. How do we get them to care? Well, we get them to care by, number one, connecting what you do to what they want and making it clear. Saying exactly, this is like put it out there, right? You also need to ask these two questions. Let's talk about how to get them to care. Okay, we're doing good. We're almost done. I want us to think about these two things. Let's first start off with our first question. The first question is, what is the overall shared idea of my platform? Remember, the definition of a movement is a group of people working together to advance their shared ideas. Now, in the business sense, though, it's really one person putting out the shared idea and then finding people who agree with that shared idea, right? Because, you're not launching a business by, getting a whole bunch of people where you have like 100 business partners and we're all going to, create a business. No, it's going to be where there's usually one or two people, right? And you're going to create a business or a ministry that God called you to do. And then you're going to put it out there and you're going to work to get people to come under and to connect with that because they personally connect to that, right? So the first question then is, well, what is the shared idea? So let me tell you how to break down the shared idea. Let me give you 2 points. The first one is that your vision establishes the shared idea. Okay. Your vision of your platform establishes the shared idea. Well, what is vision? Vision is the greater pursuit. It's what we see in the end. So, I for example, is Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream speech. That was a vision speech. That was vision casting, right? The civil rights movement, though, was mission and action. Does that make sense? So in order to have a movement, you have to first have a vision, because you got to know, well, what are we shooting for? Where are we going with this? What's the end goal? What's the world that we're trying to create here, right? And then that vision, okay, establishes the shared idea. But here's the thing. The mission establishes what you're going to do. The mission establishes how you will help them experience this shared idea. Got it? So the vision is, this is where we're going. The mission is, here's how we're going to get there. Got it? Because that is what helps people say, oh yeah, let me get behind that. Right? Because they know where they're going and they know how they're going to get there. Got it? And the mission is what includes, this is important. The mission includes, okay, action. Got it? So this is what people get behind, right? People first, they're going to first experience you, right? Once they experience you or a product, then that helps them to get excited, okay? But it doesn't mean they're going to stay there. They can just get excited for a moment. What gets them to stay there is where there's a consistency in you reaching out, connecting with them to get behind this shared idea, right? You can buy an item from 10 different stores, right? I can buy leggings from 10 different stores. I can buy cars from 10 different stores. I can buy, what did we talk about? I can buy shoes from 10 different places. I can buy, who else? We talked about Peloton. You can buy a stationary bike from 10 different places, but what gets you behind a particular brand? Community and movement. Got it? So because of those two things, the first question is, what is the overall shared idea of your platform? Here's the second question. We're almost done. How are you working together to advance this? Well, the way that you work the mission is through working the what? Products and services. Got it? So what you sell is not even like the end thing. What you sell helps people to accomplish the mission, which gets us closer to the vision. Does that make sense? So from a ministry standpoint, for instance, what we provide for our people, okay, helps them to take action, okay, so that we get closer to what the big vision is, right? What we're painting the picture. This is what we want families to experience. This is what we want women to experience. This is what we want children to experience. But the way that we get there, see, in order to get to that, we have to do something, right? So for your products, let's say you sell products, same thing, right? This is how, let's say we're dealing with women. right? And we're saying, in our company, we're all about inspiring women to do X, Y, and Z. The way that we do that is through what you sell, right? So let's say, for instance, you're in the beauty industry and you sell weave, right? Okay, well, what's the vision? Right? You're not just selling hair, because you can sell hair like anyone can sell hair. Everyone's selling hair. Got it? But what's the bigger vision? What do you want women to experience when they use your product, right? What do you want them to experience that's different from what's already out there, first of all, right? Because we see a lot of hair businesses come and go. They'll be strong, blow up, and they fade away, right? But what's going to make you last? Vision, mission, movement. Got it? So you got to have a bigger vision. Then from there, okay, with your products, what's the impact, right? When people are using your products, what do they care about? How is it helping them to get closer to their own goals? Does that make sense, everyone? Does that make sense? So hopefully as I'm teaching this, you're thinking about in your head, okay, when it comes to how I'm going to begin to attract and build a movement, okay, I need to define what my movement's going to be or what it is. Or maybe you already have one and you need to transform parts of it so that people can gain some clarity and really understand what you're trying to do here, right? What is the greater vision? What is the mission? And how are you going to create movement? Does that make sense? Okay. So when you think about your product and services, a great activity is you could list your different products and think about how can you begin to communicate what this will do in someone's home, right? How it can add a benefit to what they're already doing. You think about, for instance, a furniture company like Wayfair or IKEA, right? Number one, when you launch a business, you should already know how what you do is different than what's already out there. Again, there's nothing new under the sun, but but just because there's nothing under the sun does not mean that you sell your differences, right? Of like why your company exists, what it does that, isn't happening right now in the market, right? You need to communicate that because you want what you do to be seen as a benefit to people, right? So when you're thinking about, okay, what's the differentiate? What's the different? I can't even talk. What makes a difference? I'm trying to say the differentiator, but I can't talk right now. My words are not working. But my point is that when you think about what is different than what's already out there, when you think about IKEA is not your luxury furniture store, right? IKEA is your buy out the box. It has 100 instructions to put it all together and it's inexpensive. Okay, that's IKEA. When you think about Restoration Hardware on the other end, as Restoration Hardware, it's not IKEA, right? Guess what? They're both multi-million-dollar companies, if not more, okay? So you can win doing different things. But when you specialize in what you're here to do, IKEA is not trying to be Restoration Hardware. Restoration Hardware is not trying to be IKEA. But they're both winning. Because of one thing, this is important. They understand what their products are here to do in their customers' lives, right? IKEA is not trying to sell $10,000 products, $20,000 products, because that is not their vision. That is not their mission. And that definitely will not create a movement within their own community because they have a different audience. Got it? Restoration Hardware, on the other hand, they have now IKEA also has restaurants within theirs. Restoration Hardware is a little bit different. They're like luxury restaurants within their stores. They've decided to turn their stores, and this is actually something that's happening in all different levels of business, where people are now trying to create experience-based shopping methods. So that when people are walking to your store now, it's more of an experience instead of just shopping, right? So, but Restoration Hardware actually was one of the benchmarks in the past 2-3 years that began to really change the game of how people shop for their furniture, where people actually could eat and they could literally go to a restaurant within Restoration Hardware and it's all their furniture, right? You're actually sitting on their seats and you're experiencing their furniture in a different way, right? And so when we think about that, though, they were communicating something to their audience, right? Restoration Hardware came out with a membership, right? That they launched around their community, right? For people who were behind what Restoration Hardware stood for, the kind of homes and styling that they stand for, right? So why am I saying all that? I'm saying all that to say is that you need to begin to tell the story visually, audio-based wise, of how what you do is helpful to people, and not just sell a product or promote an experience. I always tell ministries that flyers don't build a ministry. Community does. Church flyers don't build churches. Community does, right? You having 100 guests coming to your church throughout a year does not build a ministry. Community does, right? You have to realize that when it comes to business and or ministry, it's not about how much can you do. It's about what are we doing and how is it impacting people? And are we making it clear on how what we're doing is what they need and how it will transfer them in some kind of, whether it's vanity based or whether it's super deep, right? Are you clearly communicating the importance of what you do? Everyone got that? Okay, let's wrap it up. We're almost done. Let's wrap it up. I want you to learn as we come to a close. I want you to learn on how to tell your story 100 different ways. Yeah, learn how to tell your story 100 different ways. You start a movement by storytelling. Let's look at an example in the Bible. Jesus taught in parables. And this is important because he had to make sure that as he was teaching something that had never been heard before or had been heard but only through a particular way, right? There was something out there, especially in the Torah, on how there would be a coming Messiah. Right. But Jesus now was coming in a way that was completely different than from what they thought. They thought that he was going to literally be a king and literally sit on a physical throne. And Jesus was not coming for what they thought. Right. So how do you get people to come on board to something that they don't really have yet a true concept of? Well, what you begin to do is tell a story through their life, through their perspective, their lens. Jesus is a perfect example. Jesus, he came on earth, right? And he came on earth as a child because not only did he need to come into an earthly body, but he also needed to learn how to live as a human. When you've been living as a spirit for so long, even when there's no concept of time in the spiritual realm like that, you still have to learn how to live so that you can serve those who you're meant to serve. And so Jesus had to come through as a human being to understand how could he communicate this message to them through the lens of what they were living, of what they knew. And if you've ever read these parables, you'll understand that he talked in the language of the people. He talked through the life experiences of the people. He shared stories such as how a woman was begging in reference to a debt that she owed. And she came before the king and she began to beg and beg and beg and beg and beg, right? I mean, there are stories that he told that were based upon a man, an owner, and how he had servants who had talents, right? He was telling a story that really was about X, but he told it through Y so that they can understand the equation. Does that make sense? And so it's very important for us to know that not only are we needing to be clear of what we're doing and make sure that we're connecting impact, but that we're telling it through the lives of what our customers or what our target market or target audience is experiencing. So instead of you just selling a t-shirt, a pillow, hair, services, coaching products, coaching programs, right? So if you're just selling health products, right? I want you to start telling your products through their lives. What are they experiencing? What are their needs? What's happening in their everyday lives? And how does what you offer connect to their everyday lives, connect to their needs, connect to where they want to go in life? Right? Because again, why should people care about what you sell? There's a ton of people who do what you do. I know that's hard to hear. But what makes you special is not what you do. You guys know I've been teaching this for a while. What makes you special is the end result. What makes you special is the community that you build. What makes you special is the impact that you provide for people. What makes you special is what they experience when they put on your product, when they put their product in their home, when they put their product in their hair, in their body, in their life, in their bank account, right? When they work principles that you teach, whatever it is that you do, that's what makes the difference. I want to give you a quote, and we're going to put this in the comments. Put in the comments. Community is built when people are connected. This is the quote that's going to sum us up. We're doing really well on time. We're almost done. Community, I want you guys to type that in the comments. Community is built when people are connected. Again, community is built when people are connected. Now, tonight we touched on different ways that you can connect to people, right? I want you to begin to think about how can you this quarter, these next 3 months, connect further to your people, right? That's what this is about. This is about connecting to people's needs, connecting to their wants, connecting how what you provide connects to what they need. This actually will help you to create better products and services. This will help you to do to even have more impact in ministry, because you're not just doing what God called you to do. You're finding how what God called you to do connects to what people are going through, what their needs are. All right. So again, community is built when people are connected. And remember, connection does not always mean, okay, that you're gathering people, that you're hosting events every week, that you're putting people in Zooms. Remember, people can be connected and not even necessarily be connected to one another directly, right? People can be connected through social media, right? So remember, social media is not your community, it's your following. There's a difference, right? But you want to learn how social can be an extension of how you reach your community. Does that make sense, right? So social media is not your community, okay? Social media is an extension of that community, but you use your social to do what? To connect and touch them. Got it? This is what we use to communicate. We use different channels, not just social, but email, text, in person, right? Storytelling, right? I want to give you some other examples with this. How can you get other people to tell your story for you? How can you get people to identify their story with your story? Let's take a look at Lululemon. I want to show you guys something really quickly. If you look at Lululemon's Instagram, they sell athletic gear. But I want us to look at and read what their Instagram bio says. It says, mindfulness, sweat, community, and more. We're here to inspire you to live the sweat life every day. Wow. That sounds like vision, and that sounds like mission, right? And when you go to their social media, you're going to see way more than just the clothing itself, right? You're going to see people. This is important. You're going to see, I'm going to say it again, people, right? You're going to see where they're having conversations on things that are connected to fitness, but also connected to people, right? Connected to people, connected to mission, connected to community, connected to experiences and life stories, right? So how can you begin? This is something that actually I'm going to be doing this month to show as an example, right? One of the things that I'll be showing you guys on how I built my movement was that I began to connect with people. That's what I did. I began to actually figure out what their needs were. I began to figure out how what I was doing connected to what people were going through when it came to their business, their ministry, and how my calling fit what they were going through. It's important. How my products fit what their needs were. Got it? And so how can you begin to highlight people? Have them connect their story to your story. Does that make sense, guys? Is it clicking for you? So let me know, guys, what are some things that you guys have, what are some things that maybe you've learned tonight? What are some things that are in your head that you're thinking about that you can implement in your business when it comes to defining your movement. Again, your homework this weekend until we meet next Friday is to define your movement. I want you guys to define your movement. I want you guys to look at your business model, your ministry model, and figure out how you can define your movement. Make it super clear to people. Make it super clear. I want you to begin to look at ways that you can really become creative in your storytelling, how you can become creative and how you're highlighting people. I want you to highlight your community more. The people who are a part of your community. If you don't have a community, I want you to go find some people who connect to your mission, who have a story that is connecting to the purpose of why you're doing what you're doing. Is there a woman, a man, a child, a teen that connects with your, who's a part of your target market? So if teens are a part of your target market, maybe it's you connecting with teens and getting them to tell their story that connects to your mission. That's a part of what? The greater vision. Okay. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on tonight for Platform Use Kickoff for October, as we're talking about when I move, you move. And it should be just like that. And that's because we're talking about how to create your movement. And this week we focus on how to define your movement. Hopefully you were able to get our emails for the week from the genesisdorsey.com community. And I hope that, you're going to be able to download. We're going to send this out this weekend. This is the sheet where you can fill in the blank and kind of go over your notes from this weekend. And then again, I want you guys to begin to really apply what you've learned. Okay, apply what you've learned. So as I end, I just want to go over our community announcements for those of you who are watching the replay. Hello, hello, hello. And I want to thank you for making the time to watch this content. Again, this month, we're focusing on creating a movement. There's two things I definitely want to highlight that I think you will definitely benefit from. The first are coaching sessions. This month, I'm offering $100, which is 50% off. I'm offering coaching sessions for individuals and leaders, whether you're in business or ministry, who really want to have a one-on-one with me so that we can really deep dive and look at what you're doing this month, what you're doing this quarter, and how you can really look at your platform and begin to work the platform that God has given you, or the platform that you will soon launch. You can go to genesisdorsey.com, and if you click on in the menu coaching, it'll take you to the coaching page where you can get and enroll in your coaching session. And you can put in this code, which is in strong, because that we're in the last quarter of 2021. If you put in that code in strong, it will give you 50% off your coaching session, and you can book as many as you desire. I see a few people in the room who have already experienced this month's coaching sessions. And again, you'll get the recording. It's a Zoom, and so anyone can enroll from anywhere all over the world. But again, I'm only having a few seats left of those. So if you want to take advantage, you can go to, again, genesisdorsey.com, click on the coaching tab, and you'll be able to book a coaching session. Again, we're just doing one-on-ones right now. Coaching programs will be coming soon. The second thing is that we have a November planning session. And that's because as you're going from month to month in your business, you want to know, what is your focus for the month? What are you selling for the month? What are your sales goals this month? If you're in ministry, what are your growth goals this month? Growth does not always mean numbers and whether it comes to members or things like that, but there's different ways that you can grow. And so we want to talk about, how does the content that you're putting out help to push those sales? And so this is a 4-hour working session. Yes, 4 hours. And I'm telling you, for those of you who join me on October the 2nd, wow. That session was extremely helpful, not just for those who were their first time in it, but it really cemented the fact that when you come into each month prepared, and you know what content you're posting, you know what lives you're going to do, you know what kind of products and services you're going to highlight, it helps you to have a more organized month, and you have a more clear month, and you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it, and you can assess even at the end of the month why certain things didn't work out, right? And so if you would like to join us, our November session will be on October the 23rd at 11 a.m. It'll be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern time. You can get your seats now. You can go to genesisdorsey.com, and when you go to genesisdorsey.com, you can literally just scroll down on the homepage, and you will see the November 2021 Profit and Content Working Session. Seats right now are $50. The way that it works, which is so cool, is that once you pay for 1 month, you're in the rest of them for free. So we're going to be doing them for a few more months. And so all you do is pay a one-time fee. Once you get in and you pay that 1 month, you're good. And so you want to get in as soon as you can, because each month the price is going up. Okay. The price is going up because these bad boys, again, you're talking about 4 hours. You have live access to me for that time as your coach, to coach you through what content you're working on for the month, your profit goals, what products you're highlighting. You're able to ask me questions, and then you'll also be there to work. And so if you're looking for accountability, it's a great group of women that are executing, literally executing, like planning out their content, from email marketing to social media content, to live streams and videos that they're going to do for their channels and for their platforms. And we have women in ministry, women in business. So it's a great example. And then last but not least, I definitely want to announce this. We have coming up in a couple of weeks, we will be opening up for Speak Woman Speak, the winter edition. So we're almost done. We have 2 more sessions where we're going to be wrapping up our summer cohort. But winter is coming. And if you're a woman that you know God has called you to speak, write, and teach, get ready for Speak Woman Speak winter. Okay. This is going to be amazing. It's going to be a virtual experience. It's going to be, this one's going to be 6 weeks long, but it's going to be powerful and amazing. You're going to spend time in a small group and a community of women to really hone in your skills of speaking, writing, and teaching. And this is where not just in your ministry gifts, but really beyond the 4 walls. So I'll be teaching women on how to pour into the body of Christ, but then how to go outside of those 4 walls and monetize those God-given gifts in corporate, in your business and entrepreneurship. I mean, how to take that thing to the next level. And so stay tuned for that. The seats will open very soon. There will be payment plans available for this next experience. It's going to be phenomenal. And so I'm so excited about that. So stay tuned. So guys, again, join me next Friday at 9 p.m. for our next week, where we will be talking about, oh guys, get ready for this. I'm so excited. So again, remember, we just talked about how to define your movement, right? But then next week, we're going to be talking about how to be your own hype man. I'm calling it the hype man mentality. Remember, when you're creating a movement, you got to create excitement. So we're going to be talking about how to be your own hype man, but then how to get others to become hype about your own platform. How to get people, we talk about how to get people excited. Well, I will be teaching on how to get others to light on fire for what you've been called to do, and to get people excited about your mission. This also will expand the staff, volunteers, even on how to draw people to support you from behind the scenes as, again, staff, volunteers. You know, some of you, listen, God is sending people to support the vision, but I want to teach you how to keep them excited about that vision once they get lit on fire, because we know if you don't continuously stay lit, you can lose your fire. But I'm going to teach you how to not let that happen. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. Be